Good morning. I'm sorry, I don't think I heard you well enough. Good morning. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Happy to see everyone here in the sanctuary instead of like 8 of us last week. Really good to see everyone. Welcome to those of you online. My name is Doug Booth and I use he, him, and his pronouns. I serve on your board of trustees. And I am happy to welcome you to the Tahoma Unitarian Universalist congregation. Longtime members and new visitors alike, you are welcome here. Whether you're joining us in the sanctuary today where we are toasty warm, or online in another location, we're really glad that you're here today with us. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders, and love is the power that holds us together. We're all growing, all learning, all loved. You are welcome just as you are. If this is your first time with us, then a special welcome to you. I'm really glad you've found your way to our community. After this service, I'll be in the back of the sanctuary, right over there, to answer any questions you may have about Unitarian Universalism, about our congregation, or if you want to talk about how to get involved in our community, please feel free to join me. I may grab a cup of coffee first, though, we'll see. For those of you here in the sanctuary, we do have hearing assistance devices and some large print hymnals that are available in the back of the sanctuary. Our ushers would be happy to help you with these. Our service this morning, our online chat chaplain, Debbie Cafazzo, will help guide our online folks. And for those who are on site today, we'll utilize the screen behind me to project the words for our in unison readings and the lyrics of our hymns. Also, on the order of service, you'll find information about our website, which is Tahoma, not Tacoma, tahomauu.com, not .org. And you'll be able to see upcoming events, volunteer opportunities. You can use the QR code, that little blotchy thing on your order of service, to locate it, and that will take you to our e-news. Just a note though, because of our transition in admin, you may have noticed that the website is not kept up current like we always have, and our e-news has been missing. Thank you so much for your kind patience. We're working to fill that void and hope to have an e-news out in the next couple of days and the website updated later today. All right, and there is a lot happening, so I have a few announcements. First of all, we're going to start with a little video that will tell you about a fundraising that we're doing for the Trans Relocation Committee. It is Drag Queen Story Time coming up Saturday, February 24th at 10 a.m. And we'll go ahead and have that video played.
Hey, we're doing a drag queen story hour. Conservatives are claiming that these books are pornography, and that's just simply ridiculous. We know because we've actually read them, and we want to read them to you. We have some of these books that will be sold for auction to help raise funds, as well as other items that we're selling to do more fundraising and hopefully have future events where we can help people leave these terrible states that are slipping back in time. If you would like to participate, please like and follow and share, or donate at this link. We need money. Please give it to us. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Remy. And we're going to have some information if if you'd like to have a QR code to scan for that online information, you can corner Remy Tallow back there in the sound booth, wherever she may be, and get that QR code. We'll also have information about this on our website and in our e-news. Our auction is returning. We're looking for people to join the auction committee, and Teresa Hall and Sheila Wybrow. If I know Sheila's here, is Teresa here? There's Sheila. And there we go. There's Teresa. You can corner them and tell them you'd like to be involved. The auction is a fun community building event. It's going to happen this spring. And you can also contact Sheila Wybrow at swybrow, that's SWHYBROW at Comcast.net. We're also having circle dinners coming up Saturday, January 27th at 6 p.m. There are some spots left. These dinners are potlucks in private homes or here at the church downstairs. Hosts typically provide the main dish and other guests will fill in with side vegetable, salad, desserts, breads, etc. Your host will be contacting you soon. And if you'd like to grab one of those spots, reach out to Susan Kunkel. Oh, sorry, where's Susan? There we go, Susan. Sheila, Susan, I'll get it right. Pathways to Membership is also coming up. If you are new to Tahoma UU and you would like to join as a member, then the Pathways to Membership class is the start for you. We're going to have a class held Saturday, March 16th at 8:45 a.m. until approximately 12:30. If you became a member in the fall, but you missed the class, please feel free to join us. Attendees will get information about our denomination, the governance of our church, expectations of membership, activities and programs, and have an opportunity to connect with other newcomers. We'll have a continental breakfast served. Please contact admin@tahomauu.com for registration. We also want to mention board nominations. We're going to have 4 spots open on the board of trustees. The nominating committee is seeking those who may be interested in serving on the board. Candidates must be UU members for 1 year and have served on a committee for 6 months. If you'd like to know more about the 4 available positions, please contact the nominating committee by talking with Alana Bond, David Pettit, or Cindy Hackett. And if the 3 of you are here, there's David. Only one here today. So David, you're going to answer all those questions for everybody. Also, you may have noticed that Reverend Crystal has had reduced hours. There's going to be a letter come out that will give you more information about that and set some expectations. That'll be coming out this week. So we thank you for your patience on that. Watch for your e-news. So again, check the web this week. Watch for your e-news. And thank you for your grace in letting us get that out late. There'll be more information about ways to become involved and connected with our spiritual community. You also invited us after the service to join us for social hour. And there's going to be coffee and refreshments. It's a great time to catch up and get to know someone new. For those of you who are visiting us for the first time, our red coffee mugs are the ones that mean you'd love to chat with us, and we would like that very much. So we'll have that right over here. And lastly, friends, I want to invite you now to set your electronic devices to worship mode. We're gathered here, one community together. Let us settle ourselves into this holy moment. Open our hearts to learn and unlearn, to share and to receive. And I respectfully acknowledge that I speak to you today from occupied Puyallup and Coast Salish ancestral lands. I pay respect to elders past and present, and extend that respect to their descendants and all Indigenous peoples. And now, let us join together in worship. To light our chalice, I would like to invite, yes, she's going to join us from our temporary nursery, Jan DeLong, who's been a member for 5 years, and I've just learned this is her first time to light the chalice. Jan, go ahead. Thank you. And now, if you'd like to join me in our chalice words, we light this chalice in deep respect for the mystery and holiness of life, in honor and gratitude for those who have gone before, with love and compassion for those who dwell among us, and with hope and faith for the generations to come. Now, Krissy Kim will have our opening words, and then I'll introduce our song.
Good morning. So our theme for this morning is being good enough. And as you can see, we've already failed at perfection, but we will be striving to have a good enough sermon for you this morning. This is my first sermon that I've preached from the pulpit, so bear with me. It will not be a perfect sermon either. Sometimes you have to make choices. There's a video that I found that I think is good enough. It is, especially a lot of the pictures at the beginning are heteronormative. They center whiteness, but overall the message is important. So I deemed it good enough. There is a hymn that we will be singing. It is one of my favorites, but it definitely centers the gender binary. So if you don't find yourself in that, please change the words as you're singing them so that you see yourself reflected. And again, it will be good enough. So those are two choices that I consciously made during the sermon. There are probably some other places that I will unconsciously ask you to give me grace and accept that it is good enough. It's my hope that this sermon and that some part of today's service will speak to you, heal you, cause you to rethink or to forgive yourself or someone else.
And now let's join, if you would like to stand in body or in spirit, in singing our opening hymn, which is number 168, One More Step.
So I would like to invite all of you that are young or young at heart to join me up front for Time for All Ages. I might. I should be okay. Good morning. Oh, it's nice to see so many of you up front this morning. How are you? My name's Krissy. What's your name? Say it again. Eason? Easton. Well, welcome to you all, and welcome to my friends I've known for a while, and to those of you that are new. I'm so glad to see you up here. I have a story for you today. Have you ever felt like maybe you messed up? Yeah? Big time, right? Sometimes we do that. And so today the message that I'm sharing with the adults is about being good enough. And I have a story to share with you this morning called I Am Enough. It's by Grace Byers, and the pictures are by Keturah Bobo. I am enough. And that's the end of my story. So I want you all to just take a moment and say out loud with me, I am enough. Can you do that on the count of 3? Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. I am enough. Because you are, and I'm so glad you're all here. Let's make an arch and sing the children out.
And this is our weekly call to generosity. You can conveniently give online at our website, tahomauu.com. And if you click around, you'll see the button to donate, and you can follow the instructions from there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marianne. And now join me in our dedicating words for this offering. We dedicate ourselves and our offerings to the work of this congregation, weaving a tapestry of love we call community, both within and beyond these walls. And now for our meditation, we're going to sing hymn number 1051 in the teal hymnal, We Are, and Sheila will lead. Sorry, if you'd like to rise in body and spirit. So obedient.
For each child that's born, a morning star right, for our opening reading, instead of a reading this morning, we have a short video. So Michael, would you cue the video, please?
Though we may keep a little quiet about this, especially when young, we tend deep down to be rather hopeful that we will eventually manage to find perfection in a number of areas. We dream of one day securing an ideally harmonious relationship, deeply fulfilling work, a happy family life, and the respect of others. But life has a habit of dealing us a range of blows and leaving nothing much of this array of fine dreams save some shattered and worthless fragments. It's at moments of disillusion that we might turn our minds to a concept drawn from Japanese philosophy, and in particular from the Zen Buddhist approach to ceramics. Over the centuries, Zen masters developed an argument that pots, cups and bowls that had become damaged shouldn't simply be neglected or thrown away. They should continue to attract our respect and attention and be repaired with enormous care. This process symbolizing a reconciliation with the flaws and accidents of time, intended to reinforce some underlying themes in Zen. The word given to this tradition of ceramic repair is kintsugi, kin, golden, tsugi, joinery. It means quite literally to join with gold. In Zen aesthetics, the broken pieces of an accidentally smashed pot should be carefully picked up, reassembled, and then glued together with lacquer inflected with the most expensive gold powder. There should be no attempt to disguise the damage. The point is to render the fault lines beautiful and strong. The precious veins of gold are there to emphasize that breaks have a philosophical merit all of their own. The origins of kintsugi are said to date to the Muromachi period, when the shogun of Japan, Ashikaga Yoshimitsu, broke his favorite tea bowl and, distraught, sent it to be repaired in China. But on its return, he was horrified by the ugly metal staples that had been used to join the broken pieces, and charged his craftsmen with devising a more appropriate solution. What they came up with was a method that didn't disguise the damage, but made something properly artful out of it. Kintsugi belongs to the Zen ideals of wabi-sabi, which cherishes what's simple, unpretentious, and aged, especially if it has a rustic or weathered quality. A story is told of one of the great proponents of wabi-sabi, Sen no Rikyu. On a journey through southern Japan, he was once invited to a dinner where the host thought he would be impressed by an elaborate and expensive antique tea jar that he had bought from China. But Rikyu didn't even seem to notice this item, and instead spent his time chatting and admiring a branch swaying in the breeze outside. In despair at this lack of interest, once Rikyu had left, the devastated host smashed the jar to pieces and retired to his room. But the other guests more wisely gathered the fragments and stuck them together through kintsugi. When Rikyu next came to visit, the philosopher turned to the repaired jar and, with a knowing smile, exclaimed, "Now it's magnificent." In an age that worships youth, perfection, and the new, the art of kintsugi retains a particular wisdom as applicable to our own lives as it is to pots. The care and love expended on the shattered pieces should also encourage us to respect what is damaged and scarred, vulnerable and imperfect, starting with ourselves and those around us.
So, where did this desire, need, want for perfectionism come from? I don't know about you, but it is ingrained deep within me. TUUC, a scholar, was researching the tenets or characteristics of white supremacy culture. And regardless of your racial identity, if you grew up here in the United States, we have all been indoctrinated in white supremacy culture. And one of the characteristics that he talks about is perfectionism. Oken says perfectionism shows up as little or no appreciation expressed among people for the work that others are doing. And when appreciation is expressed, it's often usually directed at those who get the most credit anyway. It's more common to point out either how the person or the work is inadequate, or even more common, to talk to others about inadequacies of the person or work without ever talking directly to them. Mistakes are seen as personal. They reflect badly on the person making them as opposed to being seen for what they are, mistakes. Making a mistake is confused with being a mistake, doing wrong with being wrong. The person making the mistake or doing something wrong rarely participates in defining what doing it right looks like or whether a mistake actually occurred. Little time, energy, or money is put into reflection or identifying lessons learned that can improve practice. In other words, there is little or no learning from mistakes and little investigation of what is considered a mistake and why. There's a tendency to identify what's wrong and little ability to identify, name, define, or appreciate what's right. Often internally felt. In other words, perfectionists fail to appreciate their own good work, more often pointing out their faults or failures, focusing on inadequacies and mistakes rather than learning from them. The person works with a harsh and constant inner critic that has internalized the standards set by someone else. I don't know about you, but that one resonates so much with me. And the final thing Oken has to say about perfectionism is it's linked to the another characteristic of white supremacy culture called one right way, where the demand for perfectionism assumes that we know what perfection actually is, and that others are doing it wrong or falling short. So that's the end of my quoting Oken. My first exposure with the idea of being good enough comes from a parenting class back in the mid-90s when I was teaching in an ECAP program. ECAP is the Early Childhood Education and Assistance Program, a state-funded version of Head Start. So working with low-income children and families, and a component of that is parent ed. And I don't remember who the speaker that we brought in was. I didn't even have children at the time. But what I remember is this idea of being good enough, not having to strive to be the perfect parent, but working to be good enough and letting some other things go. And this idea of a good enough parent was coined by Donald Winnicott. And I heard that and it resonated with me and I agreed with it and I preached it. And I didn't apply it to myself. Has anybody ever been there? Yeah. So I've always done work that I felt was important and mattered, worked in human services. So my work was important and I had to get it right because it was so important. And it led to a lot of workaholism and a lot of feelings of frustration because you can never get it right. You can never get it perfect. All you can ever get it is good enough. I, like most of you, had a lot of roles that I was juggling, working, parenting, spousing. I was also a student. I did my associate degree before children while working full time. All my other degrees were working full time with a spouse and children. There were so many feelings of failure when I wasn't perfect, which was pretty much all the time, right? And so I internalized all of these ideas about, I'm never good enough. I can never get it enough. And I didn't give myself credit for all of the good work that I was doing. And I think that that's so very important that we take a moment to recognize, even when we fall short, what have we done and what difference have we made? We are often good enough. None of us has to be perfect. None of us can be perfect, but we can be good enough. Now, I'm kind of a slow learner when it comes to this. I'm a fast learner when it comes to other things, but this took me a really long time. So remember, it was back in the mid-90s when I was introduced to this concept for the first time. It wasn't until the early 2010s that I actually consciously applied this to my life for the first time. That's a really long time. And when we don't consciously apply this to our lives, the universe chooses for us, right? Because there's always way too much on our plate. And so if we don't consciously choose this is good enough and I'm letting this go, something gets let go of, whether we choose to let go of it or not, because there just isn't enough capacity. And so I was in my doctoral program, which I did, I worked full time during the day. I would come home, have dinner with the kids and my spouse. I would do my schoolwork and then I would go to bed. Well, this night I was working on a paper that was due that night because, that's how it is. Some of you can relate. And Janae had a nightmare, my youngest child, and came to me as I'm working on this paper. Now the paper is due. My child had a nightmare. My spouse is home, but she wants me. So at that point, I sat and I thought, where would be good enough? Would it be good enough to give my daughter a hug and send her off to my spouse? Would it be good enough to turn in this paper that is not the A quality paper that I am used to turning in, but is good enough to get me a grade on the paper and let it go? And so I turned in the paper. It was good enough. It got a B. That hurt for those of you that can attest. But in that moment, to be good enough, I needed to let go of that schoolwork and attend to my daughter. She needed me. And I feel like if I had made different choices, I might have been a better student, but I wouldn't have been a good enough parent. Does that make sense? By turning in the paper, I could be a good enough student and give her the attention to be a good enough parent. And again, 20 years later, it took me to get there where I could consciously make that choice for the first time. It's still a work in progress. I wish I could say I always am able to see when I need to make those choices, when to let go, when to say something is good enough. I don't. If any of you figure that out, please share your wisdom. I'm totally open to hearing it. But I'm hoping that I notice it more often. I call myself on my bullshit because I think I can do it all and I can't. And I need to call myself on that. And then I can let it go and move on. And that's what I wish for you all to be able to do, to know what is good enough and to forgive yourself and let go of all those other pieces that you can't get to, that you don't have time for, you don't have energy for, it's just not needed for. You've invested enough time and energy. You've done enough, and it's okay to let the rest go. It is such a learning in progress for me. I think it's going to be like anti-racism work. It's like a lifelong journey. Every time I think I'm getting close to there, wherever there is, I realize, oops, I did it again, right? And I have to reflect and start all over and let go and take a deep breath and say, it's good enough. I want to go back to the video of Kitsugi and think about all of the ways that things fall apart in our life and how we put them back together, and that beauty, that perfection in the imperfect. And imagine yourself as all of those pieces put back together. And you know what? There might even be a missing piece. For me, there is. And we can fill in that whole piece with putty and gold if you've lost a piece. And we can still be beautiful and good enough without being perfect and fully whole. I want to go back to Tima Oken as he wraps up the section on perfectionism. And he says, and here's the main point. We are already perfect. We are made perfect. We do not have to prove our perfection to anyone, even to ourselves, no matter what our inner voices may be telling us. We may have lost touch with how perfect we are, and when we do, our perfectionism becomes a way to try and prove to ourselves and others that we are worthy. But we are already worthy. We are already invaluable. No proof is necessary. I'd like to invite Doug up to have us set an intention.
And now this time is for us to take a moment. Join me in taking a breath, if you would, a nice deep breath. This time is for us to reflect, to listen to our hearts, think about what we have heard. Is there healing we need? Is there something we can take forward into this week that can impact our lives, those around us? Take this moment to set an intention, whether you do so through prayer, meditation, silence, whatever is your custom. We take this time. Now we'll sing our closing hymn, and this time I'll invite you to stand in body or spirit. This hymn is something that I'll mention. Kimberly Debuse, I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong. She's written a wonderful blog where she's written about each and every one of our hymns. Her suggestion was that we sing number 1053 in our teal hymnal, How Could Anyone, 3 times through. The first time, sing it to hear and get used to the words. Second time, if you'd like to sing it to the person next to you, or to, if that's too cringy, close your eyes and sing it to someone you know and love who needs to hear these words. And the third time, to sing it to yourself. And now Sheila Wybrow will lead us in singing 1053, How Could Anyone?
To notice that your love
Our closing words today come from Melanie Jade. She says, "You are enough, just as you are. Each emotion you feel, everything in your life, everything you do or do not do, where you are and who you are right now is enough. It is perfect. It is perfectly enough."
And now we will extinguish our chalice, and Krissy, may I can invite you to do that for us. First, we will read our words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now if you'd like to rise in body or spirit to sing our closing blessing song, From You I Receive, join in the hand motions as you wish. Please join us for a coffee hour if you would.